Welcome to Giants Nation. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, the Football Grump, and it's another preview. Week 2 preview. The Giants are 0-1. We desperately need 1-1. We have not beaten the Cowboys since 2020, so we're going to preview and talk about a little path to victory, what the Cowboys do well, where they couldn't be taken advantage of. We haven't beat Dak Prescott since his rookie year in 2016. Grump, we're due. We are due for a Cowboys victory. I'm just saying.
What's going on, Bobby? It feels like it's been forever since we won at AT&T Stadium too, and stadium opened up. Eli wins the first game there, and a pretty miraculous game there. Really exciting finish, and it feels like we haven't won in there since, which I don't think is true, but it feels that way.
2016. It was Dak's first game.
Ouch. Yeah, 2016. Holy crap. Yeah. So we're recording this on a Thursday. We just had 2 straight days with no football on. I watched the movie Major League last night out of sheer desperation. So I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about football, even if I'm not super feeling great about this game.
Yeah, let's get into all of it. First, this episode was brought to you by some special people. We got Jeff Stone. He has from the first Jeff. Dennis Ma, not Paul, Dennis Ma. Mike, just regular old Mike. Mike and Ike. Bradley Justice, that man was willing. He's going to serve you with some Justin. Quince Beer Can, I don't think that's your real name. Kyle Boca Raton-Turt. Matt Terlizzi, he's a pizza person. Dan the Man, he's not playing for Indianapolis, is he? And then Joe Otis. It's Milo and Otis. Have you ever seen the Instagram reel? It's I think it's Shane Gillis, where he's like in Milo and Otis that he just killed it. Like a bunch of dogs died in that movie.
No idea what you're talking about.
You never seen the movie Milo and Otis?
No.
No, it's about a cat and a dog, and the pug fights a bear in the movie, and they said they kept on having to feed the bear pugs until it got tired of eating pugs, and that's when they ended the scene. That's how they got the I don't know if that's true.
That sounds fake to me.
Who are these people?
These people are heroes who went to patreon.com/GiantsNation, where they signed up for one of the 2 tiers available, and they are able to watch episodes like this live as they're being recorded. They get entered into a monthly t-shirt raffle. They get access to breakdown videos that you do. Those are exclusive to Patreon going forward. And they get free stickers in the mail from you, Bobby Skinner.
How about that? Patreon.com/GiantsNation. You'll be glad you did. So I want to talk about the Cowboys offense versus the Giants defense first, because that's where I have a good idea of what we're going to see from the Cowboys, where when we get to the Giants offense, it's a lot of new pieces for the Cowboys, coaching and personnel wise. So, I mean, we're not, breaking news to you when you're looking for this in-depth, preview of what this game's going to look like, but the Cowboys offense can and will CeeDee Lamb you to death. It's as simple as that. And we'll get to the other pieces. If you ask me over/under 100 yards for CeeDee Lamb in this game, it's an easy over. But this is why you went out and got Paulson Thibodeaux. It's not to simply just shut down CeeDee Lamb in this game. But Paulson Thibodeaux played the Saints last year, and he wasn't obviously following CeeDee Lamb. And hell, he even gave up a 65-yard touchdown to CeeDee Lamb at the end of the game, partly due to a bad job by the safety on that play. But guess what he also did? He had 1 interception, a pass breakup. These are the games where when a receiver can do stuff like this, I think the Paulson Thibodeaux, Javon Hollins of the world, this is where they need to make their money for this Giants defense, because you're not going to just stop CeeDee Lamb, but we need to create turnovers, and that's what you brought those 2 guys in specifically to do, bro.
Yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is obviously the big worry in this. I don't really know that there's the good matchup there, and honestly, I think that the best matchup against CeeDee Lamb is going to be a strong pass rush. If I'm Dallas right now, and I'm looking at the Giants defense and how I want to attack it, if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to want to nullify the only area where I feel like the Giants have an advantage, and that's in the pass rush. And to me, the best way to nullify that pass rush is to just win in the trenches right away. So, like, I'm going to pound the rock up the middle. I don't think that the Giants' run defense is going to be able to stop anything until I see it stop something. And, I also think that somebody like Cooper Beebe in the middle is someone that you can probably use to your advantage to get some running plays working early on. I think I'm also going to use guys like CeeDee Lamb and Kevontae Turpin in jet motion and jet sweeps and stuff like that to get around the edges and attack the corners in the run defense where the Giants are weak to. And you're going to do all that not because you want to run the ball really well or because you have a great running game or anything like that. It's to set up your play action chunk plays and explosive plays. Now, uh, and that's primarily going to go to CD Lamb, right? And there's other options there. We're going to get into all of it. I think the middle of the field is somewhere the Cowboys are going to want to exploit with Jake Ferguson, especially CD Lamb there as well. And I think also anytime that you can get the Giants to have to bracket CD Lamb or worry about Jake Ferguson, you're going to get George Pickens into one-on-one situations where he's just going to eat up no matter who's covering him.
Yeah, that's why I don't think they're going to run the ball a ton. One, because Schottenheimer's always the new head coach, but he's not new to being an offensive coordinator for Dallas. And one, their running back room is not great. In a game where they were in it the entire time, and against an Eagles defense that can be a little more dangerous. They handed the ball off to their running backs 19 times. I do agree. I think they're going to try and get Turpin involved because this Giants secondary is bad at tackling, bad at run angles, and this jet sweeps, handoffs, pen and pull plays outside the tackle. But they just have matchup advantages all over the board in the passing game. Like we said, with CeeDee Lamb is going to get his, whether that's out on the sideline, on crossers in between the windows of Bobby Okereke and Darius Moisau, or in man coverage against Flott, Phillips, Adebo, Banks, in any corner. Like, that's a matchup advantage for the Cowboys. But also, like, Jake Ferguson should be able to get wins, and then they're gonna be leaving George Pickens one-on-one most likely if they are putting all this attention on CeeDee Lamb, and that's a bad matchup for the Giants as well of having Cordell Flott or Deontay Banks on George Pickens. Like that's a bad. So that's why I think one, Dak has a lot of control at the line of scrimmage too, and I think this is going to be a game where they have a lot of matchup advantages, and that's again where you mentioned the pass rush. I think that is where if the Giants are going to have a chance here, and this is going to be a freaking talking point for us all year on these preview pods, is like you gotta be dominant up front. Like they're like Tyler Guyton, the second year first rounder that they have at left tackle. He was bad in week one. Josh Uche was dominant against him. Jalix Hunt was able to get pressure. Nolan Smith was mostly lined up on Terrence Steele, but he was able to get wins. Kayvon got a sack on him last year. Like, they're going to set their protections against Dexter Lawrence. We saw it last year where, remember the very rare Dexter Lawrence tweet where, they're like, Cooper Beebe, 0 pressures allowed. And there's like, okay, but they literally double teamed him 100% of the time. But Dak Prescott also admitted after the game last week that when Jalen Carter went out, like, it was a huge change for us because we were going to set the protection against him all night. And that's what they're going to do. So Dexter Lawrence is going to get a ton of double teams. He's going to get them every week, but I think this week more so than others. He might get almost exclusively double teamed. Well, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and even Kayvon Thibodeaux, like, you guys got to work Tyler Guyton, and Shane Bone likes to run a bunch of stunts and stuff. Like Tyler Booker, that rookie guard they have out of Alabama, he can be taken advantage of there. Anytime you can get Abdul Carter in a stand-up mode over Tyler Booker, like he will smoke him, 9 times out of 10. So if they can't, like, he can't hang laterally. So like it's I think this is the way the Giants should attack things most of the time, but when you're playing against a Cowboys team that has Dak who can dice you up and, will find his matchups, you need to play aggressively against CeeDee Lamb to allow Paulson Adebo and whatever corner to undercut and cheat, and then have the safety over the top, and then this pass rush has to be lethal because this is not if we're playing the Eagles, I want to be like, the pass rush has to be lethal. I'll be talking about like it's going to be a tough matchup for them. Against the Cowboys, they are vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that's the only way the Giants can really screw things up for the Cowboys is winning on the edges. So that's why I think they'll try and nullify with the run game early, and then start taking your chunk plays where they do have the advantage. But where I really want to see the Giants on defense step up is going to be at the safety position. The middle of the field and the deep chunk plays, like they're going to be looking to hit the voids behind linebackers and in front of safeties. And I don't think that at any point this year we're going to be seeing the linebackers have a great game, or we're ever going to be talking in a review episode that like, oh man, the linebacker group really stepped up and whatever. If anything, we're going to see the safeties crashing down in the box and just not letting anything over the top. Um, Last week against the Eagles, there was some spectacular linebacker play, taking away shots over the middle. And the Eagles do have good safeties as well, like Reed Blankenship and stuff like that. But I don't think that we're gonna be seeing, like, any Zach Bond style play from Bobby Okereke in this game, and I really think that if the middle of the field is gonna get covered at all, it's gonna be Tyler Nubin and Javon Holland crashing down with good instincts and good timing to break that stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, Dak was testing the limits again, like you said, against a Vic Fangio defense with Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell, who was carrying the middle of the field very well. This is a game where, man, Okereke struggled a lot in week 1, did not look good, and then you have Darius Moisow out there. This is a game where they are gonna test the middle of the field. Where again, whether it's CeeDee Lamb on those crossers, which they love to do, Jake Ferguson up the seam and in his regular routes and getting stuff underneath. That is my biggest worry is that's just gonna be open all game for Dak. And once you get aggressive against that, then you get your one-on-ones on the sideline, whether it's CD or George Pickens, and that's where um, Micah McFadden was a bad coverage linebacker. Like that was his biggest deficiency outside of like missed tackles. And then, but going to Darius Moisow was like actually is it even a bigger step down. And that's really got to be stressful for this defense. So I don't know if they start really just declaring one of the safeties down instead of rotating them down and really getting aggressive with the way they play tight ends. The Giants do play a decent amount of man coverage, and I think we'll see a good amount of Tyler Nubin man coverage on Jake Ferguson to try and help against that. But once the Giants go in their zones, that's what they're going to get. And then in man coverage, they're going to go after. They're going to find their matchups with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. So I hate to be like, it's got to be a stressful matchup for the Giants, and like that's where you said the eraser can be turnovers, like with Paulson and Debo, and the pass rush. Like that pass rush has to just be able to dominate and force quick decisions for Dak Prescott and hopefully force some mistakes too.
Yeah, I mean, Dak Prescott is not my favorite quarterback in the league, but he is pretty good at dicing up defenses and just taking what you give him. And all that stuff takes time. So if you can disrupt the timing, if you can get him moving, so you cut the field in half, if you get him throwing things off time, or if you can just get to him and start hitting him. These are all things that the Giants can do they have to win up front in order to win in back. It's not going to work the other way around. They're not going to be able to hold coverage long enough for the pass rush to get there. The pass rush is going to have to win quickly. And what I saw last week was the pass rush seemed to be either they won immediately or they did nothing. And they'll have to be better than that. I can start there, but in general, this is going to be a much better matchup, I think, for the pass rush. Like we said, Tyler Guyton is somebody who can be had. Tyler Booker is somebody that could be had. Um, e- e- Even to an extent, I think in the pass game, Terrence Steele is somebody that can be, much better run blocker than pass blocker, although
Yes.
not a slouch, but.
Steele's a solid player, but at the end of the day, like Brian Burns and and Abdul Carter should be able to win that matchup, and if they're not, it's a problem. Um, let's talk about their rushing offense, and then we'll move on to the Giants' offense. I think we disagree on this. I don't think they're looking to run the ball a ton. Like I said, like they, hand the ball off 19 times. All of last year, they just didn't run the ball at all. I think they weren't as set up as well last year as they are this year. But still, I mean, they're relying on Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. And Sanders had that 49-yard run last week, but outside of that, it was 18 for 58 against a team that was missing Jalen Carter. and the Giants gave up to over 200 rushing yards. So like that's the equalizer, is that the Giants gave over 200 rushing yards, and so teams may just look to do that against the Giants specifically. Um, but I just don't think this is a team that is really looking to run the ball a ton.
No, I think that this is a way of taking away the one thing that Giants have an advantage. It's a way to nullify the pass rush. So I don't think that long term they're looking to run the ball super, you know, off balance or even a 50-50 ratio throughout the season. I think that this is a matchup thing. And I also, you know, whatever shot he did last year under Mike McCarthy, I think Mike McCarthy really, was kind of in control of the game plan and what he wanted to do. I don't think that Mike McCarthy is a big run the ball guy. I think he's more West Coast kind of stuff. I think Schottenheimer is going to do what he's going to do. But again, this is all projection. We have like one game sample size here, so it's a little tough to tell. But I mean, there's no argument here. The Cowboys running back room is not great. It's not enviable. I don't like Miles Sanders. I think I'm not sure if he fumbled or if Javonte Williams fumbled. Um, but yeah, the right after the big Miles Sanders breakaway, there was a fumble in the red zone. Um, I don't think that they're set up to overbalance it. I think that they're just going to look to run early, and exploit the weakness in the middle as a matchup thing and nullify the pass rush to open up where they really want to do, which is get chunk plays and find their one-on-ones after that. So I think it's going to be an early game thing from the Cowboys.
I want to hit on this, because we didn't hit this on the mailbag pod, before we move on to the Giants offense. What do you think about this whole, like, they're not getting Burns, Kayvon, and Abdul Carter on the field at the same time? I think that is very much reactionary to a defensive coordinator who I don't think is very good. But, like, those you can't get those guys all together on the field at this, like, because they did it 8 times. You you can't do that all the time. And I understand, "Oh, we'll put Mike or, Abdul Carter more at, linebacker. He only played him 30-some snaps." The answer, I think, is to put Abdul Carter just more reps than Kayvon. Like, somebody has to be 3rd in the order. That should be Kayvon Thibodeaux. So Brian Burns and Carter should be getting majority, and Kayvon getting, not a little amount of reps, but, like, you can clearly see him being the number 3 in that rotation. And like, you can't put them all on the field until 3rd down, and you can't do it every 3rd down either too. Like, you gotta have some type of variety there.
I'm a little surprised that this is like a talking point. I think maybe it's just because the Giants played so poorly in week 1.
The talking
Um,
point should simply be Abdul Carter needs to play more, and it doesn't have to be at stack linebacker. It's just play Abdul Carter more. That's the answer.
Yeah, and I think that some of this is matchup, right? You have Jaden Daniels is somebody that causes you to alter what you want to do, but all summer the conversation was, is Kayvon going to play less now that we have Abdul Carter? I think in a game where you're playing against Jaden Daniels, Kayvon's somebody who's pretty good at keeping his outside contained, and being disciplined in his rush typically. So and also they wanted to use Abdul Carter in some spy situations. I think that the whole game plan, anything that you take away on a snap count basis from week 1 is not necessarily like a trend. But like, as we knew this all summer, it's just like someone's gonna have to come off the field. Like, and we discussed this, I think, on the mailbag was like, do you yeah, we did. Because of the Micah McFadden injuries, like, do you want to be moving Micah or Abdul Carter to sack linebacker more often? And we both said no.
I don't
Not
think they're
really.
going to either. Like, again, there's gonna be certain pass rush packages where they'll put him there, but, like, actually just playing that position, I don't think it's gonna happen. I know the quotes come out from, you see the tweets of, like, Shane Bowen said it's something they'll consider, but when you actually watch the clip, he gets asked directly about it, and first thing he starts talking about is Darius Moasau is gonna, play in that role, but it's something we gotta consider to, in pass rush situations and different packages. Like, I think they're gonna just use Abdul Carter very simply. He's gonna be an outside linebacker. They're gonna put him in matchups on the inside, and they'll give him a couple stack linebacker things where they got him moving forward, which they did against the Commanders as well too. Like, he's not gonna actually play linebacker. Let's move on to the Giants offense versus the Cowboys defense. It is hard to 100% say with confidence what we're gonna see scheme-wise and, like, production-wise from players, because The Cowboys have a new defensive coordinator in Matt Eberflus. They've lost Micah Parsons. They played 2 high coverages at an extremely high rate. They didn't play any man coverage last week. They didn't blitz at all. But Grump, they were also playing the Eagles, and that personnel-wise is extremely different than what the New York Giants have, where the Eagles have a great offensive line, the Giants do not. The Eagles have a great running back, the Giants maybe have a good one. The Eagles have a, you know, great receiving weapons, 3 of them, the Giants have 1 of them, or I guess Dallas Cowboys not great. Punch him in the face, South Dakota. But here's, it's tough to say because again, like I said, their covers, they played 50% cover 2, 4, and 6. That is a very high rate. And this is typical of a Matt Eberflus defense, though. What you're going to see is the underneath of the field is going to be left open, right? They're going to play with some cushion in the middle of the field specifically, which for a Brian Dable offense, I think is going to mean a lot of Wan'Dale Robinson targets in this game, especially if they're going to try and, eliminate Malik Neighbors the way they tried to eliminate A.J. Brown last week.
Well, I mean, there's so many things to get into with this. Number one, again, going by week 1 trends is kind of difficult, and it's hard to even understand what the Giants are going to do because, quite frankly, if they play the way they played against Washington in any week, they're going to lose. That offense,
And they're not going to, by the way. Like all those rub routes and stuff, that is like playing against a man-heavy team. You're not doing that against the Cowboys. Even if they want to do that 9 times out of 10, this is the one time where that's not going to happen.
I think the underneath stuff is still going to be a part of what we're trying to do here. I think there's still going to be a lot of high-low reads where the high is just not going to be there anyway. I think that's just something that is, and some of this has to be taken from the Russell Wilson standpoint. Like Russell Wilson does not really put the ball in harm's way very often. Throughout his entire career, just not a high turnover guy, and he's just pretty safe with the ball. That doesn't mean he's not aggressive when shots are there downfield. It's just he's not going to put the ball in harm's way very often. I think where the middle of the field is going to come into play is going to be actually Tyrone Tracy. I think is going to be a lot of like running backs out of the backfield, check down stuff that's going to be open. Uh, some of it designed, some of it, check down. Wan'Dale Robinson, I think is going to be, a big part of the game plan. I would say around the outside that there's going to be a matchup advantage there. I think, I'm not entirely sure who's going to be playing slot corner. Because Deron Bland is almost certainly going to be out for this game.
Yeah.
That could be somebody named Reddy Stewart, who I know almost nothing about, 2024 undrafted free agent out of Troy.
Like unready Stewart, if you know what I'm saying.
Boom. Yeah, so Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors, whoever they have line up in the slot, they're going to be looking to exploit whatever advantage they have. But, again, we're not the Eagles on offense, clearly. So I'm not entirely sure what to expect in terms of if it's really just going to be a straight up cover 2, cover 6.
Yeah, that's the thing is we are not the Eagles, so they could play it very different. They could see that the Giants like to give Wan'Dale Robinson, some force-fed targets, and Russell Wilson likes to check it down to the running backs. So like, hey, we're not going to do? We're not going to leave the soft middle of the field open and to be taking advantage because that's where these Giants are going to hit while also trying to cover over the top on the sidelines, where the Cowboys, like you mentioned, like those high-low sideline stuff where it's like they will flat out take away the high in that, but they'll push out the curl hook like nickel defender or linebacker, whoever's in that position, safety, and they'll push them wide to allow the underneath defender to play, like take away the low, which leaves, again, the middle of the field open. But Russell Wilson doesn't get to the middle of the field in those progressions. Like he gets to the middle of the field on the pre-play design throws, which they're not going to play their zones like that against that. They're only going to play that way when you're playing more aggressive on the sideline. So this is where it's, again, this Giants offense, it's hard to like put together this path to victory, especially with the way that Russell Wilson plays in a very specific manner. Like it's what you will be able to do is get guys, on the sideline with opportunities, like, but you got to hit those plays and you can't just play like that. And here's what I'll say too, you know, they have Kyer Elam starting. If you're not going to Darius Slayton in this game, and I'm a proponent of bringing back Darius Slayton, why did you sign him? Like, if you have this like perfect storm of they have Kyrie Elam starting at outside corner, they're gonna try and take away Malik Neighbors, and you didn't use Darius Slayton last week, so you can learn from that. If you don't do it in this game, then what are you even doing? Now it's up to Slayton to perform and win, and that's on him. But like, what are we even? Why did you bring him back if that's what your plan is going to be with Darius Slayton? So like that should be an advantage, a big time advantage for the Giants. Like that's a bad spot for them to be. So they need to take advantage of that. But where I'm going to be interested to see is how do the Giants operate the middle of the field? Is it simply just Wan'Dale Robinson choice routes, Theo Johnson up the seam? I'm not 100% sure, but it's it's hard to fully predict what the Cowboys are going to do too, because we are an extremely different offense than the Philadelphia Eagles, and we don't have a big sample size of how they're going to play with Matt Eberflus and a personnel that's missing Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I don't really know what the plan was last week on offense. It sometimes feels like we're playing 4D chess instead of just playing right in front of us. Like outthinking everything, overthinking everything. I think we got way too cute way too often, and we're not just playing football anymore. You have Darius Slayton signed for 3 years for a reason. He's a guy who's led your team in receptions, in receiving yards almost every single year he's been here, and you give him one target, he was basically a decoy most of the game. They can't possibly continue to play like that, throughout the entire season. But I won't be surprised if they do something silly again next week, but they really, really shouldn't. Kyrie Elam is someone that you should be able to take advantage of. Darius Slayton is a good route runner. Not great, he's not amazing, but he's a good route runner. He should be able to beat Kyrie Elam. He should be able to find soft spots and bracket zone coverage. I I don't understand. I'm hoping that the middle of the field actually gets worked a little bit too with like some dig routes and stuff like that. You have talent on the outside here. But as to what to expect, it's hard to say because I never on earth would have guessed that Darius Slayton would be such a non-factor in the game plan. I picked him in fantasy. It was like a complete waste of my time.
Yeah, so here's where this is where I kind of have a feeling of how they'll play their coverage wise and stuff. Where it's going to be interesting is how good is their pass rush against the Giants' offensive line. I'm not expecting Andrew Thomas, but they have Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, and Marshawn Nealon, and all Marshawn Nealon year two. But Sam Williams and Dante Fowler are guys who are able to take advantage of matchups, and they have matchups against James Hudson. Kenny Clark against the interior should be a good matchup. Osi Odigizua, like that's where it was bad last week up front. This is where the Cowboys can do that. But again, they didn't blitz at all in that game until after the lightning break. So that's it'll be interesting to see if they look to bring a little more pressure against the Giants. They started throwing in some corner blitzes and stuff in that game against the Eagles, and they actually were able to get home, but Jalen Hurts was able to, break those tackles and scramble, which if we had a scrambling quarterback, this would be a big game for them. They kind of left that open for Jalen Hurts all last week. Uh, but it's it's hard with after an offensive line performance like last week to just be like, yeah, well, they're not that good. There's Kenny Clark and also Odigizua and Dante Fowler. Like those guys should be able to win against the Giants offensive line, against everyone essentially except for Jermaine Illuminor. Like he's the only guy who I'm expecting to have a good game. But if you add Andrew Thomas into the mix, that changes things. But I don't think we're going to get that. For the rushing offense, this is where I'm like probably the most like worried going forward is like the Commanders were a bottom 5 rushing defense last year, and I will say the Commanders had a good game plan. It wasn't them just whipping ass up front, which they did, but they really made an effort to stop the run last week and not have that be, their issue. Um, but the Cowboys they've gotten better in that area. Like, as much as I think the Micah Parsons trade is stupid, adding Kenny Clark in the middle helps that a ton, right? He's gonna have a matchup. They've been playing Jay Toyo, 350-pound defensive tackle, been giving him snaps. And then Odigizua, someone who is quick, and that can be the Achilles heel of Runyon, and Van Roten are those quicker defensive tackles who work laterally and get in the backfield. and they have their linebackers playing more aggressive. So it's hard to forecast a ton of success for this rushing offense either.
I think if they're going to have any success, they're going to have to run at Dante Fowler and Sam Williams. I think that Dante Fowler was absolutely terrible last week defending the edge and containing. Um, they especially if you see Dante Fowler lining up over the right side on Jermaine Illuminor, they should be trying to attack that. Stretch these things, bring them over tackle, bring things outside. Running up the middle with Kenny Clark alone, if that were the only reason to not run in the middle, that would be a good enough reason. But like you said, Osa Digizua is somebody who can win with a quick first step and quick hands and get in the backfield. That first play where Greg Van Roten just completely got completely turned around and shut down, that could happen almost every single play with somebody like Osa Digizua.
Yeah.
I don't really know how you handle Kenny Clark with anybody on this offensive line, after last week. So, to me, what you've got to do is attack the edges first, and run things outside, um, and go from there. I think that that's really what you've got to do. Getting success in any part of football is, on offense, is where you can open up where you don't necessarily have an advantage. So take your advantage where you have them. And I think that attacking Dante Fowler specifically in the run game is probably something that they're going to try to look to do.
And the Giants need to realize that just having Chris Manhurts out at tight end and trying to just win one-on-one matchups and double teams is not going to work for this Giants offensive line. So you need to use Daniel Bellinger more and use him as a lead blocker and cutting the black side, the backside of play. So, but if you want to go see this game and see how the Giants are going to react in week 2, then I'm excited to tell to you about SeatGeek. And I want to give the sponsor of today's episode, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. The NFL season is here. MLB season's in full swing. That's one of my favorite, because I'm not a big baseball guy, but I'm a Yankees fan, Grump. And it's kind of nice when football season gets here. And it's like, oh yeah, then we got baseball playoffs are basically right around the corner. How many games? Actually, I'm going to look at that. MLB standings. Actually, I got to look at playoff standings because it's all confusing now. The Yankees are making the playoffs, right?
I think they're in second place in the AL East, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they're basically tied with the Sox. So the wild card standings. Oh yeah, they're gonna make the playoffs, and they have 15 games left. So go check out a Yankee game. Maybe they won't make the playoffs, and this is your opportunity. So I love using SeatGeek, I used it to go to the races a couple weeks ago. I'm using it to go to a Giants game later this year. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. It's simply just like traffic. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use code Bobby2025 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. By the way, Cowboys fans, something I've learned, Grump, is we have become a beacon of information for the other team's opponent. You get a lot of comments like that. Like, wow, these guys are level-headed, and I learned a lot about this matchup. So comment, Cowboys fans, if you just heard that. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code Bobby2025. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. You'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. You won over those Cowboys fans by being a Yankee fan, I think.
That's a good joke right there. That's a high-quality joke right there.
Yeah, that's what you've never heard that one before, right?
All right, let's bring on Danny King. All right, we now welcome on Danny King for weather and trivia. Danny, what's the weather looking like in Arlington, Texas this weekend?
I have no idea if they open the roof a lot down there in Dallas anymore. I'm assuming they do because it's gonna be a nice day in that lovely state of
Thank you for having no idea.
Well, it's not my job to open or close the roof. That's their call.
You got to look at the trends though, the models.
That's not what my models show. My models show me the weather, and it shows me it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be 87, sunny all day. Not that it matters if there's wind. Oh, I guess that matters because that means wherever the Giants are gonna be facing on the field with the whole coin toss thing, the sun will be right in their eyes. So I guess that does matter, but it'll be perfectly sunny. So whichever way they got us facing, it could be a problem. Or if we're going that way in the fourth quarter, I mean. So yeah, beautiful day in Dallas.
That is going to be an issue. 1:00 game. Arch Stapleton even asked Michael Gabriel about it. Which, by the way, no one here watched special teams coordinator interview like me. But they asked him, like, why did you, have Graham Gano and Jamie Gillen kick off? Like, yeah, they both can do it. Kept on being like, you'd be like, yeah, but why did you do it? It's like, well, they just both can do it. And they're like, but why? He's like, well, you want to keep them involved in the game. It's like, no, why? I felt like screaming, like, okay, but is one of them better? What is the advantage to having two of them doing it? Why?
I love it. I love it.
That usually means like he probably doesn't like agree. I don't freaking even know. So what do we got for trivia this week? There's so much good trivia to pull from
To
recent
be honest,
Giants Dallas history.
I just went through a bunch of game logs because I was like, there's nothing fun. There's my trivia at first was obviously gonna be like the last time the Giants got shut out by the Cowboys, but I was like, but before 2023, but I was like, that won't be fun. So I went back to 2012. Giants won 29-24. They almost lost because Des Bryant called a 37-yard touchdown, but it got called back. If you remember,
You're one finger down.
Yeah, so that's tough for him. It was actually last time the Giants would defeat Dallas. It was the last time the Giants would defeat Dallas until 2015. The last time they won in Dallas until 2016. But that's besides the point. 2012. Can you name me the three players? The player that led the team in sacks, the player that led the team in tackles, and the player that led the team in interceptions in the 29-24 game on October 28th, 2012. So total tackles, sacks, and interceptions.
Tackles.
I can't even remember who was on defense in 2020.
All right, we could do sacks and interceptions if we're not feeling total tackles.
Sacks, I'll go OC for sacks.
I guess I'll go JPP for sacks just because I don't even. It's probably going to be a defensive tackle because we said that.
Interceptions. Was that the I'll say Aaron Ross, maybe? I don't know.
Antrell Roll.
The correct answer for sacks, Grump, you were on to something with the defensive tackle part.
Shit.
It was Linval Joseph.
We just mentioned him on the mailbag pod about like actually him in, which is crazy.
That's funny.
Linval Joseph, East Carolina.
He had two dose. He had 2 sacks. And interceptions was also the guy that led the team of tackles that day. It was Stevie Brown. He had 2 receptions.
Was that the Stevie Brown year?
That was the year.
He had 2 interceptions that game. The other guys that had an interception was Corey Webster. And JPP had an interception because Tony Romo threw 4 picks that day.
I think I actually remember that game. Cranky Fan texted me a picture of Stevie Wonder. Like when he was throwing picks.
People try to overrate Tony Romo and be like, oh, actually, he was really good. And it's like, I understand he wasn't bad, but it has to matter when you show up the worst in the biggest moments consistently like Tony Romo did. Like, I understand he had one playoff run where Dez, did Dez catch it, where he did he was consistently terrible in the biggest moments. Every year, it felt like it ended with a Tony Romo interception on Sunday Night Football. All right, let's do our fantasy draft. I'm off to a hot start. I had 51.7 points in week 1. Danny, you're second with 26.4. Grump, you're in last with 22.1. So Danny's.
I just want to say, I got the most shit I got talked for was that Wandale pick, and if I didn't pick Wandale, God knows where I would have been. God knows where I would have been.
Well, you could have just picked the players on the Commanders, and you would have been. If you would have picked Debo, you would have been better off.
As I talked crap about Debo that day as well.
All right, so Grump, you have the first pick this week. So who gets the honors of 1-1?
I think that there's no reason to not use Darius Slayton except to spite me in my fantasy pick. I'm going CD's nuts. Easy pick.
CD Lamb. Never forget, we interviewed Darnay Holmes, and I was like, whenever you get a pass break again, be like, yeah, CD's nuts. And he was like, what?
That was incredibly awkward.
He's like, y'all crazy. But yeah, we interviewed Darnay Holmes, and he treated it like a press conference where I was like, who would win a boxing match, Jabril Peppers or Nick Gates? He's like, it'd probably be a tie. I was like, no, give me a damn answer. All right, I have the second pick. I'm gonna go Malik Neighbor. So I'm living with him. I'm dying with him. He's got resting bitch face. That's his own quote. But I know he's gonna get some targets and some production. Malik Neighbors, pick number 2, simple, easy. I was kind of hoping Grump would go Neighbors 1 and be a homer a little bit so I could get CD because he can literally win you the league in these matchups every year. But Danny, you have back-to-back picks. This is where it starts getting interesting because it's hard to predict everybody else.
Yeah, I know, because it's like after what the Giants off the line did last week. I'll start off homer. I will take Tyrone Tracy. Giants, I guess RB. He's projected 14 points. I truly right now still don't know what this team is. I'm sorry. At the end of the day,
I have number 7 on the big board.
I mean, it's RB1 as shitty as they are. Sorry. As
He's
bad
my
as
number
they
7
are.
too.
As bad as RB1's right there. I can't take Wandale right here, though he carried me last week. And then pick number 2. Do I go the George Pickens route or do I go the Javonte Williams route? Because he randomly, I did not expect Javonte Williams to have the game he did last week with 20 points. Giants do have a strong defensive front. Oh, decisions. I'm gonna take a breakout candidate. I'm gonna take Pickens.
All right, he was number 3 on my big board. Here, I want to do something new here because we're recording a little later because Danny's in LA. I won't say why he's in LA, especially today.
I'm not trying to get y'all canceled.
Commanders at Packers -3.5. The game just kicked off, so I don't want us to have like some scores down and let's go on. Listeners are gonna go Packers -3.5. I'm gonna go Commanders +3.5. Danny, who you got in this one?
Packers. The Commanders are playing a real team.
Yeah, but Jaden Daniels is so good. Grump, who do you got?
Go, Pack, go.
All right, it's me versus you guys, which last week was an advantage for you guys. All right, we'll get into the rest of the spread picks later, but we can't have cheating going on.
It is true.
All right, so my second pick. This is where I'm going to just stick true to the big board whenever I don't have a great feeling. I'm going to go Jake Ferguson. Darius Moa-Sound coverage, middle of the field. Now, again, Newbin versus man coverage might be. Newbin was actually pretty decent at man coverage last week. But I'll just go Jake Ferguson. Grump, you have back-to-back picks.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna fuck with my big board because I hate you for picking Jake Ferguson right there. But I'm gonna skip over one guy and I'm just gonna go Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton. One of those two has to do something in this game if the Giants do something at all, and there's not really much else for the Cowboys sticking around on here.
Well, I will say with Wan'Dale, at least you still have PPR scam.
Yeah,
like,
he's a scam.
Like maybe they stopped doing that after week 1, but if there's one thing I changed my opinion on the most after week 1, really the only thing I changed my opinion on was like, oh, they're still going to do this this is still a Brian Dable force-feed Wan'Dale Robinson. So you can take Darius Slayton third. All right, so my third pick, this is falling to me well. With the 8th pick, I'm taking number 5 on my big boards, which means I get 2, 4, 5. Javonte Williams. I get the running back one of the team that is favored to win. Javonte. I was a big Javonte guy, and then he got injured. So
Are you not worried about the defensive front? Am I crazy for not taking that risk? That's why I did take him. Am I crazy for that?
Worrying about what defensive front?
You got Dex in the middle still. I'm saying you got guy that could slow.
Pick 8, and we are a bad run defense. So
I'm asking just for my sake. Am I still too high on them right now? It was one.
This is a good barometer of how bad the Giants' rushing defense is. I think.
Okay. I was feeling a little bit crazy that I took it what I did or did it take it right there, but I was like,
I would have taken Pickens over him to make you feel a little better.
Thank you, making me feel like am I throwing away fantasy after 1 week? I wish I could see the rest of these picks if I'm being honest with you. Man,
People, we started adding graphics for YouTube of the people of our picks and the score and stuff, and I was like, it's helpful, and people are saying it might be a little more helpful for Danny because he forgets who's been picked.
That's true.
Just saying, those are what some of the comments had said.
Yo, hey, by the way, people, it was my first week back. You got a problem? I don't suck it. Someone said
That's
optional
the
loss.
same excuse the Giants brought. Oh, it's just week 1.
Yeah, well,
What do you laugh about it, Danny?
yeah. Well, guess what? When we get to my spread picks, I'm gonna have a word for someone. Yeah. I mean, I just don't want to be here with these picks. I'll take a Giant again. Maybe he'll catch the football this time. Would be
Oh, wow.
rather helpful. I'm gonna take Theo. He let me down last week. Maybe he'll won't do it again this week. I don't know. And then after that, like I said, I don't really want anyone, but I'm gonna take what's his name?
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
no. I'm gonna take Turpin.
Okay, I was hoping you would pass up on him. I wanted to.
No, I almost said Tolbert by accident, but I was like, no, that's not his name.
So this is tough. There's no good answer here. So I'm going to take a swing, and maybe they bench Theo Johnson for Daniel Bellinger, and I'm going to go Daniel Bellinger. So just maybe they did that. Grump, what's the final pick of the draft?
I don't like him at all, but no pick here is good. It's really just kind of guessing, and I'm guessing that the Giants are out of this game early, and late in the game, Miles Sanders gets like some big breakaway run.
All right, to recap, myself in first place, Malik Neighbors, Jake Ferguson, Javonte Williams, and Daniel Bellinger. Danny in second, 25 points back. Tyrone Tracy, George Pickens, Theo Johnson, and Gamonte Turpin. And then Grump in last, CeeDee Lamb, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, and Miles Sanders. All right, it is time for Giant Factors. Grump, you're up first. But first, what is the ultimate factor for this game?
Well, if you're going to make it through watching this disgusting game, you are going to need to be hydrated. And this episode is brought to you by Body Armor Sports Drink. Rewrite your routine and choose better with Body Armor. Body Armor is real hydration with electrolytes, coconut water, no artificial dyes, flavors, or sweeteners. With great tasting flavors like strawberry banana and orange mango, Body Armor will level up your hydration game. Grab Body Armor Sports Drink today at your local grocery store. Body Armor. Choose better. You'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. Grump, who's your week 2 Giant Factor?
A lot of different ways you can go with this because based on last week, the Giants are not going to win a single game if they play on offense or on defense the way that they played. And really what I sat down and thought about was the Giants need their stars to play like stars. And last week, even though he didn't play poorly, I don't think Dexter Lawrence looked like Dexter Lawrence. Any game that you play, like the football is an offensive game now. And if you start getting into a runaway situation, it is so difficult to come back, especially when you're not equipped on offense. So if the Giants are going to stop the Cowboys at all, it's going to start up the middle, up front, getting in Dak's face, destroying timing. And it's the only place where the Giants have the significant advantage on defense. Dexter Lawrence, you are my Giant factor. We need you to be Dexter Lawrence. And if that means eating up triple teams so that the guys on the edge can win, then that's what that means. If that means splitting double teams and getting in Dak Prescott's face, then that's what it means. But regardless, you need to be Dexter Lawrence, not just a really, really good nose tackle.
All right. Grump's X Factors are like the best players on the team every week. All right, my Giant Factor for week 2 is Theo Johnson. It feels like a now or never, like, make an impact or you may be, put to the bench. Maybe this is, maybe, I picked this and this is him not getting the snaps because Daniel Bellinger's role should be increased. But Theo Johnson, make some plays up the seams. They're going to be in zone coverage, be able to use that size. Don't drop the ball. Be a blocker. Make the difference on a couple of big runs. I don't have this big inspiring speech for you, but Theo Johnson, be a Giant Factor in week 2. Danny, who is your week 2 Giant Factor?
I mean, Micah McFadden is down for the year. Imagine I said Micah McFadden. That would have been bad. I'm joking. Darius Musow, they're going to be targeting you. Dallas, Dak, it's your game. They're going to try and make you the target of the game. Jake Ferguson, like Bobby mentioned earlier. Go out there, show why the Giants are trusting you to be the guy to go out there and replace Micah McFadden. It's as simple as that. I wish I like Bobby. I wish I had a more fun speech to give, but it's as simple as that. Hold your ground. Don't be the reason we lose this game. Yeah, just be a jive factor. Don't be the reason we lose.
I like that one. That was a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.
You didn't think mine was good?
Nope.
Yours was simple. Catch the ball. That was your request.
Catch the ball. It's your only job. Actually, it's running routes and blocking and, and reading cover. Anyways. All right, spread picks.
Say,
Danny.
let's go. Let's go.
Coming back hot.
Yeah.
Danny is like the league leader and spread picks win percentage. 6-2 in week 1. Grump was 5-3. The listeners 3-5. And you know what? You can't have a great comeback without starting slow. I went 2-6 in week 1, but it's always good. You know what? Last year I started hot and then finished bad. This is the year I learn. I learn. The listeners this year are represented by, or this week are David Cabrini back. We already did Thursday Night Football. So Bears at Lions -6. The listeners are going Bears +6. This is the year I told myself I'm not picking the Bears. I'm not falling in love. I'm not falling for them. Even if they have a 3-game win streak, I'm not falling for it. I am going Lions -6. The Lions fans are unhinged. They hate Ben Johnson for simply taking a head coaching gig. And the Lions are, they're coming off of a week 1 loss. So I'm going to go Lions -6. Danny, who do you got?
By the way, Nava Roan Hardman 880. That's 6-2 record. I do watch football. I saw that comment. Yeah, I thought maybe the Bears were going to be something special this year, but that's just the Ben Johnson cloud that or tunnel vision I had. So I will take the Lions as well. I just think last week was just a fluke.
I don't like the 6 points. I'm going Bears.
That's what's going to do me and Bobby. That's 6 points.
Yeah. All right, we got Seahawks at Steelers -3. New quarterbacks for both teams. Grump, who do you got in this one?
That's tough. I'm going Steelers while Aaron Rodgers is playing in September, I guess.
Yeah, and like the Steelers are going to have a winning record. It's just they don't not have them. And so I think they need to win early some of these games. So I'm going to go Steelers as well. Listeners are going Steelers. Danny, is it a clean sweep?
Yeah. I like Aaron Rodgers still.
All right, we got the Denver Broncos.
Ugh.
This is a battle for, let's see who the real horse is. You got Broncos at +1.5. Us as Giants fans, our mental health a lot is, and I am like rooting for Daniel Jones to do well, but I just can't deal with every week being like, see, he left and he is great. I just can't.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him, but I just can't deal with that. But the Broncos defense, this is a game where it's like, all right, are you guys going to be legit 2 years in a row? Because defense can fluctuate. So I will say, I'll say Broncos -1.5. Listeners agree with me. Danny, how about you?
It's between Davis Webb, even though he's not playing. He has my heart over there. And then Daniel Jones. But here's the thing.
Daniel Jones versus Evan Ingram? Oh, my gosh.
You can't. Oh, God.
I need that jersey swap picture after the game. Someone send me that.
Make it happen. Make it happen. Force him. But at the end of the day, I can't pick against the MVP, the Nickelodeon Valuable Player of the Week. 2-time, by the way.
Daniel Jones won an MVP?
Yeah, he won it again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they do it. They're doing it every week now?
Yeah, it's been like that for a while.
Oh, I thought it was only playoffs.
Nah.
So you got the Colts.
Colts +1.5.
Grump.
I'm going Broncos. I don't really have a big reason why. This was sort of a coin flip.
All right, let's see who the real horse is. Game of the week, Eagles at Chiefs +1.5. The Super Bowl rematch. Do the Eagles go to 2-2? Do the Chiefs fall to 0-2, or do they end up both being 1-1? Danny, who do you got?
2-2. There was the Eagles were 2-2. I wish they were 2-2. No. Well, here's the thing though. Worthy was practicing. I'm guessing he's not gonna play. But at the end of the day, I can't believe this is gonna happen. But I think granted doesn't matter for spread picks. Eagles. Not saying that crappy song. Happy they could spell.
So you got the Eagles.
Yes.
Okay, the listeners agree with you. I agree with you. I'm going Eagles as well, which is going to be crazy to see the Chiefs at 0-2. Grump, who do you got?
Get the broom. It's a sweep.
Do we think Jalen Carter survives the whole game?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be on like his if there's any game he doesn't spit on somebody, it's gonna be this one.
Scouts out there, guys. I will not spit on you this week.
Falcons at Vikings -3.5. The Giants could have drafted their quarterback bowl. Grump, who you got in this one?
I'm going Falcons. I still don't know what to make of JJ McCarthy and Minnesota Vikings. Falcons almost won last week. That was close.
Danny, who you got?
Yeah, it's like Vikings did nothing. Was it a Bears collapse or was it just JJ McCarthy having like an epiphany, like a wake up call? He's having a fiance is having a baby today or soon. Congratulations. But I will be going the Falcons still. Like Grump said, they almost won that game. Or would it? Yeah.
Dude, so obviously I was not in favor of drafting JJ McCarthy.
Oh boy.
And
What's about to happen? What's about to happen here?
So, but no, like the through the 3 quarters, it was terrible, right? So I was like, it's prime time, so like, I don't even say, I was like, you can't draft after one game, but some dude was like, some dude said some take of mine like age like milk, and I like quote tweeted it with like the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing with milk, and this dude lost his shit, like was tweeting at me like nonstop, like, you fat piece of shit. I was like, all right, no more tweets from me. Like, I'm not, there's a lot of psychos out there. I'm not trying to die over JJ McCarthy takes.
I honestly wish that you replied to each one of his things with a different milk gif because there's got to be hundreds.
That would have been amazing.
Oh, yeah, like, oh my god, dude! It's like all I did was quote to you with a gif, like, it's like, you fucking piece of shit.
I love the internet.
That being said, I'm gonna go Falcons too. I need JJ McCarthy to lose the game. But actually, I think they're gonna win this one. This is a hard one to do though, because this is 2 teams where it's like, let's figure out what you are. Listeners are going against us though. They got Vikings -3.5.
There's no way this second spread's real or this next spread's real. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That little segment there is gonna get me a
This
billion.
is gonna be a bad week for us. It's gonna be a bad week for her.
Bucks at Texans -2.5. I'm going Bucks +2.5. I'm all out on the Texans. Like, you took your issue of being bad that you were bad at and made it worse. Like, that defense is fun, but I'm going Bucks +2.5. Listeners agree. Grump, do you agree?
Yeah, I don't even understand this spread.
Danny.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. First off, let me get on my pedestal. Stop making doubleheader Monday night games. Stop this.
I kind of like it as a week 2 only thing. When it was week 1, it was stupid, but week 2, I think it's a nice little thing.
Maybe it's fine, but if you check that schedule, the people
another
Monday night, they're doing it.
I was gonna say, I'll stop the other. All right, go ahead. What were you saying? Who did fit?
Yes, it's the Bucks. This spread is the most confusing thing to me on this planet. I get the Texans are home, so they get like a point or whatever. It makes no sense.
So this means that the Texans are gonna win.
Yeah, or cover bare minimum.
Chargers at Raiders +3, the 10:00 game. Listeners are going Raiders +3. Danny, who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, Raiders look good. I know it's the Patriots, but I'm riding the Raiders hype train right now. Give me the Raiders.
Grump?
I take back everything I said about them not knowing what to do without Rashawn Slater. Just Chargers.
Yeah, I love the Chargers. I love Jim Harbaugh. I'm not picking against them when they have a talent advantage. So I'm going to go Chargers -3. All right, time for score predictions of New York Giants at Dallas Cowboys. Danny, what is your score prediction for the Giants game on Sunday?
So I said last week they were going to score. I felt confident a quick little 30 bomb to start the season. Didn't even score a touchdown. So I'm going to assume the Giants will score a touchdown this week. Yay. But I don't think they win because this team, they just don't look very good. Cowboys 24, the Giants 10.
Sheesh. Grump, what do you got?
Worse than that. This Giants team needs to show me that they at least have a game plan and that they can attack the field. And until I see it, I'm not going to pick that it's going to happen. I think the Cowboys run all over us, 31-13.
All right, for me, I'm going to make a petition to the New York Giants. Take my thing that was kind of fun and stuff, and don't make me be extremely annoying. Okay, I don't want to be annoying. And this I'm sure this gets annoying when the Giants are the product that they've been for so long, especially since I've been doing shows and preview pods. Surprise us. The vibes have been ruined, but fix them. Fix it, at least if it's a 1 week mirage. Fix the vibes and win, and not just win, but win. Giants 77, Cowboys 0. We will be live after the game recapping it all. Hopefully it's a victory. We need it. We need it, New York Giants. Do not let us go 0-2 for another year. Win this damn game. We will see you guys then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.